Attention passionate Cleveland, BROWNS FANS. Latest news, something big is happening in the AFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Cleveland Browns' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Cleveland Browns fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Cleveland, BROWNS FANS. Let's get to the news now, Browns fans. Today we have some interesting news that might seem small on the surface, but when you dig into the details, it reveals a lot about the Cleveland Browns' strategy and their future plans. Recently, the Browns made a trade with the New York Jets that has caught a bit of attention in NFL circles. Cleveland is sending defensive tackle Jowon Briggs, along with a 2026 seventh-round pick, over to the Jets in exchange for a sixth-round pick in the same draft. It may not sound like a blockbuster trade, but for Browns fans, it's a clear indication of what the franchise is focusing on right now: building for the future, stockpiling draft capital, and trying to set up a strong foundation for years to come. This move might seem minor in the grand scheme of things, but it's part of a bigger picture. Cleveland, after trading away the number 2 overall pick in this year's draft, has been strategically maneuvering to maximize their draft assets for 2026. The Browns managed to acquire a first-round pick from Jacksonville in exchange for the pick they used to select Travis Hunter. That's a smart move because it gives them more flexibility and options in the upcoming draft, especially when it comes to filling key positions or adding high-upside talent. Now, with an extra first-rounder and a sixth-round pick, Cleveland is positioning itself to be aggressive in future drafts, which is crucial for a team that's still trying to find its footing and develop young talent. Many people have tempered expectations for this season regarding the Browns. With Joe Flacco stepping in as the starting quarterback, the hope is that rookie Shedeur Sanders will eventually take over and lead the offense. This transition period is naturally filled with questions, and fans are eager to see how the young quarterback will adapt to the NFL level. At the same time, the team's defense, which has been a cornerstone in Cleveland, remains under the spotlight. Jowon Briggs, the player involved in the recent trade, is someone to watch. He played college football at Virginia and Cincinnati and was a seventh-round pick by the Browns last year. Briggs has shown flashes of potential in the preseason, recording 3 tackles, and he's now headed to New York, where he hopes to carve out a role. Looking back at Briggs's performance last season, he totaled 13 tackles, including 3 solo tackles, along with a fumble recovery and 2 5 tackles for loss. Not eye-popping numbers, but enough to show he's got the work ethic and the tools to develop further. The Jets, of course, already have a stacked defensive line, featuring some of the league's top players. But the position at defensive tackle is currently dealing with some injury issues, specifically with Byron Cowart. That opens the door for younger players like Briggs to step up. Quinnen Williams is the unquestioned leader of the Jets' line, and his spot is secure, but beyond him, there's a bit of a depth problem. The Jets' depth chart at defensive tackle includes Jay Tufel, Derek N. Natty, and Leonard Taylor III. All of these players are talented, but they're also fighting for limited spots. For Briggs, this move to New York could be an opportunity to prove himself on the NFL stage, especially with the Jets facing tough competition like the Philadelphia Eagles this Friday night. It might be his best shot to make the final roster and get some meaningful snaps in the regular season. Now, let's take a step back and analyze what this means for the Browns. Cleveland's focus is clearly on building a strong draft pipeline, which is vital for a team that's still shaping its identity. The Browns have been aggressive in trading assets to position themselves better for the future, and this recent move with Briggs is just a small part of that larger strategy. But it also shows how they're not just looking at immediate results. They're investing in young talent, even if it means letting go of players like Briggs who might develop elsewhere. Meanwhile, the current season might be more about development and evaluation than winning at all costs. With Flacco starting and Sanders waiting in the wings, the Browns are in a transition period. Fans are naturally eager for the team to take that next step, but patience is key. The draft capital they're accumulating now will become crucial down the line when they're ready to add impact players through the draft, or perhaps even make a splash in free agency. The Browns' defense, historically a strength, still has a lot of potential. Players like Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward continue to be anchors, and the coaching staff is working on maximizing their talent. The addition of young players like Briggs, even if they're eventually moved or develop elsewhere, is part of that long-term plan. Cleveland's front office is clearly thinking ahead, trying to create a sustainable team that can compete for Super Bowls in the coming years. And of course, fans are looking at this season with a mixture of hope and realism. The team's record might not reflect playoff contention this year, but the groundwork being laid now could pay off big in future seasons. The development of young quarterbacks, the strategic draft moves, and the evaluation of emerging defensive players, everything is interconnected. Browns fans, you've seen your team go through ups and downs, but the focus on building for the future is more evident than ever. So, as we watch these developments unfold, it's important to keep an eye on the bigger picture. The Browns are not just trying to win games this season, they're laying the foundation for sustained success. Every move, even a trade involving a young player like Jalen Briggs, is part of that puzzle. It's about creating a roster that can compete at the highest level for years to come, not just for this year or next, but for the long haul. And that's what makes following this team so exciting. There's a clear plan, and every piece, big or small, counts. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Cleveland Browns news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. Looking ahead, Browns fans, the upcoming season will be a test of patience and resilience. The team's current roster might face some struggles, but the strategic moves made now are setting them up for a brighter future. The addition of draft picks, the development of young players, and the coaching staff's focus on growth all point to a long-term vision. The trade involving Briggs, while seemingly minor, fits perfectly into that puzzle, giving the Browns more ammunition in the draft and allowing them to focus on acquiring players who can make an immediate impact down the line. Meanwhile, the Jets' side of the story adds another layer to this narrative. Briggs's move to New York could be a turning point for him personally. With limited opportunities at Cleveland, he now has a chance to showcase his talent on a team that's vying for a Super Bowl. The Jets have a talented roster, especially on defense, but the injuries and depth issues at defensive tackle mean that players like Briggs could find a role sooner rather than later. His performance on Friday night against the Eagles will be crucial. If he can make an impression, he might carve out a spot in the Jets' rotation, which would be a big step for his career. For Browns fans, it's a reminder that every transaction, every player move, is part of a larger story. Cleveland isn't just looking at this season, they're thinking ahead, building a team that can compete for championships in the future. This patience, this strategic approach, is what separates the best franchises from the rest. The Browns have shown they're willing to make calculated moves, even if they don't pay immediate dividends, because they know that sustained success is built through smart planning and smart drafting. And let's not forget, the NFL is an unpredictable league. Injuries happen, surprises emerge, and young players develop in unexpected ways. The Browns are positioning themselves to adapt and capitalize on those opportunities. With the draft picks they've accumulated, they can target key positions, whether that's adding a high-impact defensive lineman, a reliable offensive weapon, or a future quarterback. The core of their team, such as Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward, remain cornerstones around which they can build. So, Browns fans, as we look at this news about Briggs and the draft strategy, it's a reminder that your team is always thinking long-term. Cleveland's front office is not just chasing wins this season. They're laying the groundwork for a sustained, competitive franchise. The journey might be slow at times, but the destination is clear. A team capable of competing at the highest level for years to come, with a roster built through smart drafting and strategic moves. And for those of us who bleed orange and brown, that's a future worth believing in. Now, as we wrap up, I want to hear from you. What do you think about this trade? Do you believe Briggs has what it takes to make an impact in New York? And more broadly, how are you feeling about the Browns' approach to building for the future? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Cleveland Browns. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Cleveland Browns news. Thanks for being here, Browns fans, and as always, keep the faith and keep supporting our team.